So let's talk real quick about the benefits of an MBA and what's your take on it? I have my opinion. Other people have their opinions. What do you think about an MBA? Is it helpful to somebody who wants to be an entrepreneur, in your opinion, or an innovator? Or was that sort of just the next stepping stone as you were following the path to leadership roles? What's your take on that?
Hugely beneficial to me. So out of all the degrees that I have, literally 4 of them, which is one too many, the one that I really could have done without was my Master of Arts in Health and Human Services Administration. So nursing degree, that's what I wanted to do since I was 6. So that was 100% spot on and never looked back. MBA, very valuable. Not only for me, for anyone that's looking for a leadership job or an entrepreneurial role or a business job, because it does a couple of things. It's very valuable in terms of the education that it imparts upon you. It really helped me learn about business, helped me understand more about accounting and finances, helped me understand some of the laws that are appropriate, not only for business, but in healthcare. But what's really important about that is, unfortunately, we're in a world that street cred still matters. And what that allowed me to do was to sit at the table and have the same point of credibility as other people in other positions in healthcare. So I feel like that one was incredibly valuable for me. And I really, when I talk to young people and mentor, it's a strong degree still that people really should pursue and should consider. So I'm curious to know how that differs with your vantage point.
Awesome, thanks. So yeah, I'm actually in an MBA program right now. I'm starting my last class here in next week, actually, and then I'll be finished. So I'm on the fence, but leaning towards not super helpful for an entrepreneur. Great if you want to work for somebody else, because that's really what at least my program is teaching. I even took the entrepreneur track and then dropped it because my first instructor wasn't an entrepreneur. I was like, this isn't what I'm looking for. So I dropped that one. But so I'm doing a general MBA, and there is definitely a lot of financial benefits to it, or financial educational benefits to it. Like we learned all that accounting stuff and all that, which is super helpful for running a business. But overall, given the monetary investment and the time investment, I think it's not necessarily worth it if you're going to be an entrepreneur. If you want to work for somebody else, absolutely go for it. Because just like you said, that street cred really makes a difference when you're applying for those jobs. They want to see that MBA degree if you want to get into an executive leadership role for sure. So that's my take.
Well, and I'll tell you, here's the other 2 degrees that have popped up on my radar in the last couple of years that I really tell young people about, especially young nurses that reach out to me through LinkedIn or other ways. Look at degrees in health transformation or innovation, right? Because those skill sets are incredibly important. And in this very dynamic world that we're in, learning about change management, design thinking, human-centered design, collaborative problem solving, those will get you far. So understanding how to disrupt and transform healthcare, those are really the key skill sets and competencies that we need, and not enough people have that. So we want nurses with those skill sets because we want nurses leading the transformation.
Yeah, exactly. No better person than the people who are in the trenches, working every day, seeing all the problems, experiencing the problems, fixing the problems. It just makes sense that the nurses take a massive role in that and lead the way for sure. So out of curiosity, that's the first time I've heard of a degree in healthcare transformation and innovation. How many programs? Do you know how many programs?
You know what? I don't know how many programs are out there, but I Google it probably once or twice a month. More and more are popping up. So you can find certificates, but you also can find master's programs in them. So it's a really kind of neat program to go after. And it's a little bit of a mix-up. It's kind of like someone dismantled an MBA and they also added change management to it. So it's really cool. And those are the degrees that really are going to take us where we need to go. So those are kind of on the top of my list now when people reach out and ask for career advice.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for mentioning that, because that's I love hearing about new and evolving degrees that are solving, real life needs, and that's definitely sounds like it's one of them for sure. Cool. So, what was it like for you to sort of move into the innovation space? Like, how does that even look? Like, most of us, including myself, just don't even know how to picture that. Like, how does that career progression work?
Yeah, so that was pretty crazy. So really my first foray into it was the 2 years I spent writing the white paper with my colleagues on the innovation roadmap. We did tons and tons of work around a literature review, Then we actually kind of broke up the project and we've made some site visits and we interviewed people that were in the kind of quote unquote innovation space. So nurse people, we would literally pull up articles, read through them, and if it was conducted at a particular university, we would see who had contacts and then try to reach out and talk to those people and say, what are you doing? What does this mean? So we learned kind of the whole vernacular, right? We don't talk about this in nursing. We don't talk about disruption. We don't talk about transformation. We don't even use the term innovator. So when I go speak around the country, I've done this probably 30, 35 times over the last 2 years. And when I talk to a room full of nurses, I'll say, raise your hand if you're an innovator. It's not uncommon for 1 or 2 people to raise their hand. Then I'll say, raise your hand if you've ever created a workaround. Well, then half the hands go up. Raise your hand if you've ever MacGyvered anything to help provide care to a patient. All the hands are up. I said, you guys are innovators. This is what innovation is. So we're doing a disservice to our profession when we don't call it what it is. It's innovation. Nurses are natural innovators, and we need to give them the permission to feel that role and to kind of live to that role. We also need to teach them the semantics, right? That's what an innovator does. So instead of hiding behind workarounds or MacGyvers, it's innovation. So shame on us for not teaching more nurses how to do that. That for me was really kind of the first learning of, oh my gosh, even me, I too am an innovator. So doing things differently, tipping things on their heads, that's innovation. So I think that was kind of number one for me. We also had the opportunity to spend time going to places like IDEO and Google and Intuit and Continuum, different places that are really, really into either design thinking or innovation, and spend a couple days with them. We were embedded for a day with the Google team, and that was incredible because their teams are so cross-functional. And in healthcare, we still are incredibly, incredibly siloed. We have physicians, we have PAs, we have, nurses, we have therapy. We don't bring people together as much as we should. We're getting better at that. Why do we have a nursing school? Why do we have a medical school? Why do we have a therapy school? Why don't we educate people together where we can with the subjects that we can and create that not only camaraderie, but also a collaborative approach to problem solving from moment one? So that was a huge aha for me to understand that it can be done differently. And especially as you think about the role of the registered nurse, there are over 4 million of us now, right? There are 4 times as many nurses as physicians, 8 times as many nurses as pharmacists. Yet quite often, where is it that we go for answers to physicians, right? Or pharmacists? Where's the nurse in that equation? And if you can even magnify that by talking about media, rarely are nurses quoted in the media. We typically go to physicians. We are equally as important. And that's kind of been my message and my learnings over the last several years with innovation is that we have to have cross-functional teams. So at Google, the way they do it is they bring together engineers of all different types. They bring together anthropologists, they have data scientists, they have all kinds of people that work together on these teams around projects, designers, and they have such a different approach. So by the time they actually come up with something, it's so incredibly well thought out